Good morning, folks. Those of you here in the room, those that may be watching online or reviewing this later, we're getting ready to start our regular BOCC meeting for February 9th, 2022. But before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Pastor Farthing up to provide an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you so much that we live in a country where we are free to gather together, where we can be governed by our own. Father, I ask that you be with this meeting today to guide the hearts, the minds, in a direction that would honor you and that would benefit the people whom we serve. Lord, I ask your blessing on each person that speaks today. May they honor you. May they be here to help. And Father, may we find solutions that will make this county a better place for people to live. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. So the time is now 9:02. Amanda, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Pettit?
Here.
First item of business we have is just approval of the agenda. I don't believe we have any changes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. First set of business we have is approval of items on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve all the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Elected officials, department head, staff reports. Do we have anything from elected officials? So staff. Bobby, what do you got?
Good morning. So, Bobby Cheveria, Elbert County Facilities. Just an update on our road and bridge shop.
Bobby, that's a little bit later on the agenda. I'm sorry.
Actually, we had that under discussion, so.
It's under the discussion items.
I thought it was here. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's okay.
all right. But
Sorry.
we'll catch you in a few minutes. Yeah. Cool. Did Rory set you up? Is that what I heard? Okay.
Actually, I was supposed to present that, so.
Oh.
Commissioners Rory Hale, Director of Public Works, talk about this a little bit. Colorado Department of Transportation is going to replace 4 timber bridges along US 36 and 40. The one in particular that has a slight impact on Elbert County is the one over Agate Creek. They did have a discussion with the Agate Fire District, which is really the only impacts to the county. The project, when did they say that was going to start? It's going to start February 21st and last through June, sometime in June. There is a detour route. We do have this on the website. If anybody has any questions or concerns, they can just contact Road and Bridge and we can get them to the right people with CDOT. Other than that, it's, I think, for the most part, routine maintenance for CDOT. So again, it really doesn't have a whole lot of impact on the county, but at least everybody's aware of it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to put something in the newsletter or newspaper about it. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to get some social media out, and we'll also put a thing in the next Elbert County Connection.
Yeah,
That's the only exciting news
I was going to say it's the midpoint between the Agate exit and just the next one 3 miles up, and I don't think there's any roads that come off it in that area.
No.
The last of Interstate 40 or whatever that was. anything else, Sam, or, no? Okay. Alrighty, with that, we'll move on to open public comment, this opportunity for folks to bring matters to our attention or express concerns that aren't on the agenda, particularly for this meeting. So if you have something you'd like to share with us, just ask that you, when you come up, you give your name and address so we have that for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. No, Amanda, we had a couple of people sign up, I believe, for... Okay. Okay. So, did we have anybody that wanted phone calls or any email comment that came in? No? Okay, so we'll go to the room. Oh, okay. All right. So, sit. I'm assuming you're Jill.
No, I'm Carrie.
Oh, Carrie. I heard Harry. Sorry.
No. I'm Carrie Giblets. I've been a resident of Elbert County for 34 years. The last 24 I've spent in the Bijou Basin. I've been a teacher in Elizabeth for the past 30 years. My husband has been a coach in Elizabeth for 12 years. And I tell you this just so that you know how much we love Elbert County and are invested in our community. So I'm currently on the board of the Elbert County Environmental Alliance, which is a grassroots, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that is actively working to minimize the devastation that would happen with the XL high voltage power lines that are coming. So our members have a lot of concerns, but one concern that I hear frequently from our members is that of the fires. And we're all really aware of the fires that took place in California several years ago, the Dixie Fire and the Camp Fire. Well, in this article from the New York Times from December 2nd, 2021, California regulators have fined Pacific Gas and Electric $125 million for causing the 2019 fire. From Business Insider of November 2019, Pacific Gas and Electric Company power lines have caused more than 1,500 California wildfires in the past 6 years, including the deadliest blaze in the state's history. And from Associated Press, July of 2021, Pacific Gas and Electric will bury 10,000 miles of power lines so that they don't spark wildfires. To bring this closer to home, the Colorado Gazette in January of this year said that XL reported that in 2020, its power and transmission lines sparked 647 fires in the areas of Colorado at high risk for wildfires. 647. They go on to report, it says the company reported that even with $597 million in wildfire mitigation programs the utility has launched in Colorado, there is a 95% chance its assets could spark a blaze that would result in as much as $43 million in damages over the next 100 years. Now, I teach my elementary school students that 95% is high probability. We can't take that chance. The Bijou Basin is filled with trees and grasses, and with the drought that we've had, a fire would be just devastating. So I implore you, when XL comes to you with the proposal for the high voltage power lines, you deny it. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Jill.
I'm making no more assumptions in this one.
Could be Harry. No, anyway, I'm Jill Adair, and my family, we moved out here into the Bijou Basin in 1976, 77, in that winter. And just to let you know that we've been involved in this county for a very long time. And I've been lucky enough to have been moved away, come back, and live in the basin now. And like most people in Elbert County, we moved out here for the serenity, the quiet, the peacefulness, the beauty, the wildlife, most importantly. And what I'm going to talk to you about is just a little bit about the Bijou Basin that I'm sure you guys are all very aware of, that It is one of the very few continual water sources year-round that's in so many areas and creeks in this high plains are dry a lot of the time. And the Bijou Basin, luckily, because of all the springs that we have, it is continually running. Hence, we have two different, that I know of, wetland projects in the Bijou Basin, one to the north of us and one to the south of us, some on Malone's land, and then one to the north of us on Wiseman's land. And because of that, the wildlife, the wardens have told us many times that they believe this is the best wildlife habitat in all of Elbert County, is in the Bijou Basin, which I'm sure you guys are probably aware of also. So I just want to reiterate to you, and I also am part of the Elbert County Environmental Alliance with Carrie, and I'm also on the board. So, like, I won't reiterate what she's already said, that you guys are aware of what we are trying to do, just to, what my main thing is to, what we pass on to the next generation and to our kids and grandkids and all the generations afterwards, that these huge power lines go through, and also that could lead to more wind farms in this area, that we've lost this natural habitat that is getting so rare to find anymore. And through that whole Bijou Basin is this beautiful natural resource of wildlife that I would, hope that you guys consider that when they do come and ask for this, that you refuse them. And if nothing else, to please keep it out of the Bijou Basin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir.
Chuck Hughes, 19753 Wiedemeyer Road, Kiowa. This adventure has really been educational with learning about the ramifications of these power lines and subsequent wind generators. And the anecdotal articles that I've read from all over the country are astonishing. And I've joined with most of them to say, I don't want to live under one of those power lines, and I don't want to live any place near those wind generators. But we need viable alternatives. The world's changing. That's pretty clear to me, pretty fast. And these wind generators, wind generation windmills are, it's not an evolution, it's a revolution. It's revolting from the fossil fuel and going full bore with mandates by X years to get what they call renewable or clean energy. But we're learning it's not very clean when you live any place near them. But I have liberal friends that are smart people. And in the conversation with them, they're city dwellers, liberal by politics, but smart people. And they believe that the evolution of this is to solar, and I kind of like solar. My solar panels on my livestock well are great, reliable. They survived hailstorms that my vehicles and my roofs did not. I like solar. I would put solar panels on my house gladly if it wasn't for generate electricity from them all day long and sell it back to the power company for 30 cents on the dollar so I can pay $1 on the dollar to get it back at night when I need it. So that kind of economics doesn't work for me. But my liberal friends explain to me these solar panels, they think the evolution of the future is that the city will start, the city dwellers will have more and more on the roofs, in open space, in yards. Senator Sonnenberg explained to me that they suggested in the legislature that the Rocky Mountain Arsenal have windmills. And the city people went, no, 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 no. We're not looking at those strobe lights at night. We're not going to watch those monsters turning every day, at least part of the day when the wind blows. And they don't want it there. But solar looks like a viable solution to me, that there'll be more of them in the city. The transmission lines are not needed. And there needs to be, it's going to be an evolution because it needs some technological improvements, particularly with batteries. We need high capacity, high storage, non-dangerous rechargeable batteries. But that looks like that's where the evolution is, and I hope my friends are right. They're pretty educated people.
Commissioners, last 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else? Alrighty. Any feedback on public comment?
I've attended a couple of the Alliance meetings, and one of the things I want to remind everybody that I've talked to Excel, and they are not ready to make their application yet. We do not have it. So what's so frustrating about this, and the public's comments also, is we don't know how to, or I don't anyway, know how to inform. So we'll just keep paying attention, and as soon as we know what we're talking about, we'll do it.
I would say, I think that we all share the opinion that this does not belong in the Bijou Basin. So. Thank you, Carrie.
But yeah, we're all aware, you know, and our feeling is if it's got to be, we want to push it east where there aren't trees and things like that would help cut down on fire. You know, if you get out in where the pastures and the ranchers graze it down, things like that. But I mean, that's our feeling. But until we see where it is and where we can go from there, it's hard to say. But we are aware of the concerns of it going through the Bijou Basin.
I would just say, can't speak for other counties. My understanding is El Paso is not too happy with what's proposed. That might be a little different up in Arapahoe where the power is going to feed Aurora. But if there's similar groups in those two counties where the line would potentially enter or leave, working together to say, hey, here's an acceptable place, or these are the completely unacceptable places, kind of also help with lobbying Excel to, I mean, they're, you know, time costs them money, so if things are hard in one area and easier in others, it might change their calculus some too. So anyway, I appreciate the comments. So at this point, I'll close public comment and we'll move on to our discussion items for the day. The first item was just PUD and PUD amendments for regulations.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Art Greer, County Attorney. This is something we did bring up at our prior meeting. There is a specific area within our regulations that deal with PUD and PUD amendments or plan use development and the amendments to those. There's a couple of things that still need to be cleaned up. I'm not asking at this point for everybody to indulge in a broad spectrum update. At this point, this is a very focused update. We've got language that we're putting together internally that we should be able to do within the next week or so. Get some final drafts together, distribute those, and then probably have those ready for review and for consideration shortly thereafter that. And that would really help streamline the process and alleviate some of the confusion that doesn't seem to match other parts of regulations. And so we're really trying to keep things uniform so that a briefing or a concept brief or things of that nature, you know exactly what you're talking about. There's a couple of areas where it's a little more amorphous than, you know, what's an amendment here? Is that a PUD amendment? Do you need to apply for a brand new PUD? Those sorts of things, and I think we're clarifying all of that. So I would say that we're getting close to having draft language together. My hope is we'll have something to present to the board, both CDS, myself, and Road and Bridge are in agreement that we have something to present prior to our next BOCC meeting.
Yeah, my understanding, a big piece of it, as you mentioned, the concept briefs of just ensuring that we have a process, right? So there is good transparency in anything that's proposed, and good discussion can take place publicly with us prior to an application, where essentially once an application comes in, we have to go silent until it actually comes to us in hearing. And, make sure that we can influence large projects well before they get to an application stage is a piece of it. I mean, I think, and I would ask in maybe some discussion, I mean, the process for changing regulations brings language through planning commission hearings and then to us for a hearing. If the, you know, at our level, I'm not sure we need to see specific proposed language before planning commission even has a chance to publicly look at it. But if we can at least see what are the specifics that, you know, the areas that need to be changed and what the general solution is. I just don't want to get in the process of the commissioners have looked at this language, they like it, now go to a public hearing before the planning commission. We shouldn't be steering the language at that level, I don't think. So.
Yeah, I think the plan, when we have our internal draft between staff, which would include myself and CDS and Public Works, once we have a draft of that ready to go, I do think it would be presented to the Planning Commission, answering any questions they've got, see if they have additional input. That would certainly assist in determining how helpful those changes have been, how easy is it to understand what the change is, what it does, what it doesn't, and then ultimately come for a vote for update to regulations in front of the BOCC.
Thank you. Any comment up here?
No.
Any public comment on this item? I know it's a little amorphous at this point, so. All righty. If there's nothing else on that, we'll move on to the Bobby for an update on the Elbert County Road and Bridge Shop.
Manager, Elbert County. So just to update on where we're at with the new public workshop. You guys have approved, the BOCC has approved us to proceed with building the new facility. So a couple key points. FCI has been awarded the contract, the CMGC contract for the build. We are still in architectural final phases, which we've got to get through those final phases so we can get our lot line adjustment for the property up there and finish that process with CDS. So we're working on that. FCI has went out to bid for the pre-engineered metal building. That was awarded to Buildings by Design. So that came in at 1.9 million, which we had 2.1 budgeted, so we're doing pretty good there. We're anticipating breaking ground in August. We still got some things to do, but the biggest part of why it's going to take us so long to get there is getting this building, the pre-engineered building here. Everything has been delayed, steel, they can't get people to work, that sort of thing has delayed it. So that's kind of where we're at. You know, as you guys know, we have the bonding's all been secured, everything's good there. So that's pretty much all we got at this time.
Any questions, comments?
Just a quick question. Will you be using the town of Kiowa's facilities, water and
Yes.
sewer?
Yes, we will be. And we are in talks with them. They have verbally said, yes, we'll be able to do that. We still have a few things to nail down as far as where we're going to come across, where the sewer is going to come from, that sort of thing. But we do have verbally their permission to do that.
Groundbreaking and all, anticipate about a 1-year build, is that?
Yes,
move-in?
their move-in date is somewhere around May of 2023. That's what we're anticipating.
Well, it's not January of '23, but
No, it's not.
we're about 40 years beyond when we should have replaced the shop out back, so
Well, and we feel like
6 months will probably.
we want to take the time and make sure we do it right. We only want to do this once.
I agree. Thank you, Wilbur. Thanks.
Yep.
Do you have any public comment or input on this? And we'll be bringing in an update about once a month just to see where we are in schedule. And hopefully every time you come up, you've got something cheaper than projected. So. Yeah. And just for those that hadn't been tracking on this one, though we have borrowed funds to build, the payback was, the interest rate isn't very low, and it's being done within our current resources and the sales and use tax that we pay for capital improvements for road network and public works in general. So the next item we have up is the discussion of potential transfer of open space to Elizabeth Parks and Recs District. That's Sam.
Commissioner Sam Albert, County Manager. So this has been a project that we've been working on for a couple years as we look to continue to provide services to all county residents with the open space that has been obtained by the county, and we also collect fees for open space and recreation. We thought it would make good sense to partner with Elizabeth Parks and Rec, Elizabeth Park and Rec Special District, who is also collecting property taxes for those services for the area around Elizabeth. One of the pieces this piece that we're looking at is between 27 and 30 acres, depending on how you look at it, to right in the middle of Elizabeth and the Pines. The county's owned it, I believe, since about 1976, plus or minus. The property was received by the county in a tax sale. And so we've been, I know Elizabeth Park and Rec had showed some interest based on our request, and that they had a community meeting a year or so ago and talked to some of the some of the residents in that area about what they would like. And I think what they come down to was slight improvements of a walking trail around the property rather than having to walk on the road around the property. We also had a meeting last Thursday, an open house meeting, and we pushed that out through social media and on the website, and also put an open house sign in the open space there. We had approximately 40 or 50 residents show up. Not everyone signed the sign-up sheet. The nonprofit set up to manage that space was there and gave a little background. Mike Barney with Elizabeth Park and Rec was there and gave a little background, and then I provided some more information. And then we listened to citizen comments. And so the comments were, ranged from flat out, absolutely not, we don't want to see this turned over to Park and Rec. We don't want to see any improvements, to yes, it would be. There were a couple folks that said yes, it would be a nice to have this improved. So that's kind of where we are. I know that there's some citizens here today that'll speak to that. But the transfer agreement would be a sale of this property to Elizabeth Park and Rec District, which is in alignment with our finance policies. We can only transfer this property to another local government or service organization. And I know that Elizabeth Park and Rec is also having a board meeting on this project upcoming. So we're not in a big rush to do this, but we have been working on this project for a while. We'll continue to work on open space for county residents with all the properties that we've got, and we hope to do a open space and recreation plan this year also.
Yeah, and just to say, this is on for discussion today. There's no decision intended to be made. We certainly had heard feedback from the meeting last week, and was not quite tracking with the feedback we got from the Parks and Rec meeting a year earlier. So I'd just open it up for public comment, and I'm not sure whether, assuming from the breakout and feedback from the last meeting that most people speaking probably are not supportive of it, but I'd really like to know, I think we'd all like to know what are the actual concerns if there was a governmental transfer from one entity to another, and we'll take it from there. This is just kind of feedback for us, so I'd open it up for comment at this time. I'm going to go out on a limb and say your name is Craig.
My name is Craig. That is correct. It's good to see you all. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And that was a pretty fair assessment of that meeting. It was animated. It was enthusiastic, to say the least. It's Craig. Craig Blackham. I live at 4721 Deer Trail. I've lived there for 22 years. And so coming away from that meeting, I think the one thing that we could both agree on was the idea of stewardship. And if there's anything that this board can be commended on, is your ability to take the county resources, use them in a manageable way. And we understand that maintenance or even the insurance on that parcel is probably not the best use for folks who live in Simla or Kiowa or elsewhere. That being said, we also have an obligation of our own for stewardship. And so we've really tried to do in the last few days, I've come to this very late. I'm about a week into this thing. But I think we felt the intent and the consensus of the folks that were there that evening that we're going to move in a couple of different directions. One of which we've already contacted an attorney to see if we can't write up, we have a homeowners association in name with very, very limited activities. We want to see if we can't beef that up to be able to give us the status that you would be able to transfer that to us rather than Parks and Recreation. We also feel like we have the resources, and I think that was pretty clear that we were willing to come together. I think we've got attorney fees taken care of, and I think as an association, we used to collect dues, we don't anymore, but I think if that's what's intended to be able to maintain any kind of insurance or maintenance on it, that people are willing to step up and accommodate that. The other arm, the other branch that we were intending to utilize, we've already contacted the EPA. I think the environment there is rich enough that we would have somebody come in and say, you know, this is pretty unique. Turkeys, bobcat, we had a far-sighted moose stumble through a few years ago. So I think there's some things about it that make it unique, and we would like to protect that as a community. I don't think, you mentioned the word, most of the people were in agreement. I just don't think the consensus is there as far as all the parties involved. I think if we were to even get some more of the neighbors involved, we would find out that we would rather take over that land than Parks and Rec. Sociology 101, every group tries to expand. And we feel like this is an attempt for EPR to expand and maybe even use it for development someday. And
Sure, so that's 3 minutes.
Really worried about that. Thank you.
Do we have any others to speak on this topic? No, I appreciate that. Good food for thought. And that, I think, come on up, sir. Sorry, I didn't see you rising.
Morning. Jim Carlson, 4576 Park Lane, 36 years. I'm the vice president and president pro tem of the defunct Elizabeth and the Pines Park Association. We leased that property from the county for a 20-year lease. Went to renew it. You folks were in the midst of revising the master plan, didn't know what you were going to do with open space, so that was tabled. My opinion is that Park and Rec has the resources to focus on the maintenance of that property. Considering all the responsibilities that a county has, sheriff's department, governmental administration, roads and bridges, I am guessing that open space management is pretty much the bottom of the list. Again, due to limited resources that we've got. Park and Rec, on the other hand, is responsible for smaller acreage. Their task is to maintain that acreage, develop it within reason. So again, my opinion is that this would be an advisable move. Establishing a separate homeowners association sounds good. Homeowners associations tend to dwindle. Back in the 70s, the whole development had a homeowners association. To my knowledge, there was 3 meetings, and that was it. When it gets to a homeowners association and mandatory collection of dues, things start to fall apart. As independent as folks are out here, if somebody came up and said, we're going to assess you $250 a year to maintain the open space, spray the trees, I might be able to do it. I expect there's more than a few folks that would say no. So again, my opinion, I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments up here? Is there any more public comments? Oh, ma'am, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here and listening to us. My name is Teresa Carter, and I live on 4672 Deer Trail. I've never spoke at anything like this. So, moved out here 2.5 years ago from Highlands Ranch, and couldn't have been happier about this decision. It's been wonderful just in the 2.5 years. Moved out here intentionally to purchase a home not in dense housing, to have a little bit of property, a little bit of space. Fell in love with this area, and this neighborhood is fabulous. You have a little gem right here in the town of Elizabeth. We're not out in the extended communities. We're right here in your town, and it's beautiful. It's a little unnerving to come out here and now hear of all the development that's going on. It's sad. It's very sad, I have to tell you. Coming from Highlands Ranch and seeing what's going on in the growth of Castle Rock and Parker, it's a little worrisome that you guys are pushing forward so much and so fast on so much development. Now we're talking about our little plot of land in this beautiful little neighborhood, and it's concerning. I think the residents were not opposed to some of the things, but we're a little, well, I'd say, I don't know, speaking for myself, we're very concerned because we don't feel like we're getting the full picture of what the future plans are with this. And we want to hold on to it, ideally to keep it as natural and as beautiful as possible. I know there's been a little bit of comments going all over the place about what Parks and Recs might do, and even though they mention things kind of in a minimal way, that really doesn't give us reassurance for 5 years, 10 years down the road. And I listened to some of the older folks in our neighborhood, and they've been here for 30, 40 years. They're very passionate about it. And we've only been here a couple of years, and I already feel really attached. So I feel really sad for them. I have a lot invested in that emotionally. Please just be careful in your planning. Think about us. Sorry, it's emotional.
Yeah, no worries.
I think about the animals a lot. So I want to tell you something. I run a little sewing school business out of my home, and I teach young children to sew. And I have one family that comes and does sewing. Their daughter sews with me, and mom and her little boy go out in the open space, and they walk around in there. He's only 9 years old. And yesterday, he was walking out there with his mom, and he came back with a skull, a head of some creature. And it was so cool. It was really well intact. And the delight of the adventure and the exploration of this little boy was amazing. And I too have taken my grandchildren in there, and we have found turkey feathers and bones, and it's just amazing. If we keep taking these things away from our children, and for us as adults to experience that with our children, the less people have of appreciating the wildlife and everything around us. I'm sorry if this was kind of jumping all over the place.
No, that's quite all right. But I would,
But I just wanted
you've
you
had your
to
3
have that.
minutes, but I appreciate the
Thank you. I
input.
appreciate it.
Anybody else? Sir?
I'm Mark Johnston, and I live at 33632 Robin Court, Elizabeth in the Pines. I'm not going to belabor everything, but I would like to agree with a couple of the speakers here that Elizabeth in the Pines has been a well-known, well, not well-known, I take that back, has been a secret for quite a while. And we have a very peaceful, quiet little community. The wildlife is wonderful. I live right off of it. I have deer coming out of there into my yard all the time. It's a lovely place. A lot of the neighbors, we walk around the road. We don't care about trails. I don't know where that necessarily came up from, but the majority of us don't care about any development or trails or anything else. 2 reasons. We don't need the traffic because A, you don't have to be an engineer to understand and go look at the road base on our roads is not up to par. They can be graded, and in 2 days they're back to the way they were. It's nothing but light sand out there, powder, and it's terrible. My wife and I own motorcycles, and we have to crawl basically out of there just to get out onto the main road. Okay? So like I said, I don't want to belabor it, but the majority of us definitely like to keep it where it's at. We don't need anybody else coming in there with traffic and discovering that our peaceful, calm, peaceful community, we look out for each other, is there, and possibly even bringing crime. Because a lot of the development from Denver all the way out to here, look at stats, crime has gone up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comment? Okay. And again, I just want to make sure everybody does speak their piece. So I'll close public comment on that at this time. Is there any comments?
We're not taking any action on this at this particular time, so there'll be time for some review. One of the things that the gentleman, Mr. Carlson, mentioned about how you finance something like this, we've got a couple of communities in there that have a special district that has a way of getting a few tax base. And so what I'm saying is if you want to keep control of it, come to us with a plan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's obviously room for a lot of discussion on this, and we're not in any rush. As Mr. Carlson said when he stood up, it kind of surprised me, I guess, early on when first elected that we had a piece of county-owned property that was being leased, although it was like $1 a year, very low cost, but we were asking citizens where we had leased county property that's supposed to be open to the citizens so they could then use their own money to maintain the county property that we were kind enough to lease to them, and that did not seem right for when it's county property and there's taxpayers, there are monies paid to do things like this. And I think just over time, what that looked like was, okay, now what's the right government entity to maintain this piece of public land? Now, I understand if there's an effort to reestablish an HOA, I think the original intent of the piece of property way back 50 plus years ago when the development happened was that it be a piece of a community park managed within the community. That didn't happen. It was lost to taxes, and for 50 years it's been a piece of property that belongs to all the people of Elbert County, and that's kind of where we came into it. So I understand the concerns, and obviously I would caution against immediately jumping to the worst possible case when something different is proposed. And the Parks and Rec does have a mission, but their mission isn't the word development is used when they develop a park. That can be something as simple as what I think was proposed, which was just improving some walking trails, take care of, so it's not just things are eroding in the park. But I understand if people don't like that idea or they don't like the sound of it, that I think there's more discussion to take place, because right now it sounds like there's a lot of just, I share it, mistrust of government and concerns about motivations. And I do think the volunteers on the Parks and Rec Board aren't looking to build any kingdoms. They do want to build a rec center, but I don't think a kingdom is in mind. And it's been a kind of a strange journey. The Parks and Rec does pretty much cover the same footprint as the Elizabeth School District, so it's certainly not the whole county or even the whole western part of the county. But everybody that owns a property under 35 acres pays a mill to them to support public recreation. So I think everybody's just trying to figure out what's the best way to use the resources and the tax dollars that are being paid and to provide the services that those governments, whether it's ours, Parks and Rec, et cetera, the towns, or what they're supposed to be serving, and make sure we're not stepping on each other and what, their core competency obviously is parks. Ours is not. We don't look at our school district to fight fires or law enforcement to grade roads. And so just making sure that everybody is using the tax dollars we do receive best, and then it's the services that the citizens desire or that we're statutorily required should be the focus. So obviously there's some disagreements just in this room from folks in the community, and not strong ones. I think at the end of the day they want the same thing, which is a well-maintained piece of land that enhances the community, doesn't detract from it. So we can keep talking along those lines, and I guess we'll see where the Parks and Rec Board fall. I think they've got a meeting next week, it was mentioned, so what the feedback that they got from the folks that they had present, and we'll see where we go. But there's no rush from this side of the table that I anticipate. So let's keep talking and see where this goes. In the interim, we do need to ensure that we take care of things like beetle kill and fire danger. If there's some mowing that needs to be done, we don't want to set things up for any danger to the community while we figure this out. So that's kind of where I'll end it, unless you guys have anything.
Just one more quick comment. Whatever we do, I want to see a plan. Is that those fires up there in Boulder County here, between Christmas and New Year's or whenever it was, tell you that if you don't take care of the grasses and things like that, if a fire should go there, it'll magnify itself. So whatever we do, I feel most comfortable if we have a plan.
Yeah, I think that's, the thing. I know people were concerned, can we put restrictions on the Parks and Rec if we were to convey it over to them and things like that. I know part of the one restriction we were looking at was if Parks and Rec decided to do something besides a recreational park, that it would revert back to the county, that they could just sell it and things like that. But I agree with Grant and Chris. I mean, we really do need a plan if somebody else is going to take it over so that we know how it's going to be used and stuff like that. And, we don't know what Parks and Rec's decision is going to be next week. After the last meeting, they may change their mind or something on whether they want to accept it at this time. We don't know. So I think really, we've got time to sit down and come up with the best solution that'll hopefully make the majority of the people happy. We're not going to make everybody happy no matter what we do. Somebody's going to be unhappy, but hopefully we can come up with the best plan possible.
So, and I do just again appreciate everybody that came and spoke today, and those that spoke at the meeting Thursday, and I guess the meeting a year ago as well. And there'll be more talking before there's any doing. So, appreciate that. Okay, so moving on. The next item we have is discussion of an agreement between the 4 counties that make up the 18th Judicial District for planning to transition to the 23rd Judicial District. So,
Commissioners, this one's mine also. So this is a project we've been working on since legislation establishing the 23rd Judicial. The question is, how are we going to do it? And so there's 2 sides of this. One is the court side, and they've got a process going through where we're involved with talks with them. And then there's also the district attorney side, where we pay a piece of the total district attorney fee to the current 18th Judicial. So how do you split up that baby? Who gets the cars? Who gets the computers? Where's the main headquarters going to be? And there's 4 counties involved in this IGA. And what we have decided to do is hire a consultant to come through and take a look at every piece of the DA side, the district attorney side, and really help us line out steps and costs, estimates, and staffing requirements going forward to split up the 18th Judicial into the 18th and the 23rd. As you know, the 18th is staying with Arapahoe County, and the 23rd will cover Douglas County, Lincoln County, Elbert County, and that'll be the new 23rd. So this IGA is all those parties plus the 18th Judicial District Attorney's Office. So there's 5 parties to this IGA. For the cost of the consultant, Arapahoe County and Douglas County are picking up 100% of that cost. All we have to do is provide our time and labor to be a part of that team. And so we've had several meetings. The RFP is out there. We're expecting proposals to come back from the consulting services, and then we'll take a look at what the next steps will be, which may include hiring a transition company to help us work through that transition. So this IGA at the end of the day is no cost to the county, and it gives us a full voting seat at the table and full staff input on what the 23rd Judicial DA split's going to look like. Happy to answer any questions.
well, you hit the big ones, which we get full participation and at 0 cost. And that
it was a tough negotiation. It was a tough negotiation.
Well, and
no, I appreciate, we did have a cost on a potential cost share for Elbert County. And at the end of the day, we got to let's let Arapahoe and Douglas County pay for it.
Just a quick question. We really don't have, this is the initiation of the planning process. We don't have anything that's already in place.
You're right, sir. They will come out. They'll also interview the court staff out here, the DA staff out here, as well as leadership out in Elbert County. The deliverables for this RFP will include a schedule and cost estimates and a plan to go forward. And those will be briefed to all the partners of the organization, of the IGA, sorry.
And I think this is a good way to proceed within the actual district attorney's office and our stuff, but I think we're still gonna have to keep pushing to make sure that, I mean, the state courts are really running the ball on this, and that's gotta be I mean, I'm assuming what comes out of this is also gonna feed their decision-making, because
And that's one of the timelines in this, is we're trying to get this done before the next budget cycle starts so that state courts can start planning to put some money in there. They're really not planning to put any money in yet, but they're waiting to come up with a number. So we thought it would be worthwhile that we give them what our consultant number looks like, so at least they can start planning that process.
Okay, thanks.
And this is only for discussion today. This is being discussed at all the other counties, and we're asking for approval on our next meeting. But this is the final form of the IGA.
Oh, appreciate that. Any public comment on this? Alrighty. Then with that, I'll close this out, and I guess just let us know if for some reason any of the other 3 counties find something objectionable at the last minute, so we're not signing up for something and then walking into a fight. Alrighty, we'll close out this and move on to Mark. You got our kind of a review of economic development activities over the last year.
Fellow citizens, I'm Mark Dedenreader, Elbert County Economic Development. Today you have before you the first annual report for this department, and it's 22 pages in length. It's this document here, which you've seen, and the last 7 or so pages are graphs and charts. Just wanted to, first of all, thank Eric, my colleague, is working part-time. What a great addition to our team. Eric Larson's here in the audience today. Invaluable in this process, great data collection and written contributions. So thank you, Eric. I'm going to do a short walkthrough of the document here briefly, but before we do that, just wanted to, again, briefly highlight what do we do in economic development, all the different hats we wear, what are we charged with, what do you all expect of us in this position. Obviously, we need to be at the table. We need to be engaged, interfacing with businesses and the public, help facilitate the growth and expansion of new and existing businesses. And then as a result, we want to help be a part of that process of creating more jobs and good primary jobs in Elbert County. We also serve as liaisons, that shepherd, if you will, for the internal process here. When an applicant walks through our door at the county looking to do something, we're here to evaluate the process as far as process review and improvement is concerned. We're also here ultimately to help with this imbalance of the property tax revenue that comes in, which is so heavily weighted on residential as opposed to commercial. It's literally 90-10. If we could pick up another 10%, get it to 80-20, 80% residential and then 20% commercial industrial will be in a much better place, to help as the community, the municipalities and the county continues to grow, and being able to provide those basic essential services by state statute that is required of us as county government. And so it's really helped raise the tax base through more of that commercial industrial activity, as opposed to, we're not raising taxes, to be clear there. And then really, in all, it's really just that overall, that live, work, play, open a business in Elbert County type of thing, make it, provide those opportunities for folks. Our goals are definitely aligned with two guiding county documents. Those were created or updated at least in 2018, the master plan, which is the county comprehensive plan, and then of course the county strategic plan. Both plans highlight and support economic activity and economic diversification. If you look to the strategic plan, you look at goal number 5. This is on page 3 of the annual report. It says support growth and economic activity in the county. And then if you look at the comp plan, one example would be Elbert County promotes strong, diverse economic development. On page 5 of the annual report, you'll see demographics and some economic indicators. The median household incomes and median home values, we know they've been growing quite substantially since 2013. The population growth from, you look at the last decade, 2010 to 2020, that was a 12.9% growth in the county. And then on page 6, just something to note there as far as the Elbert County workforce and the top 10 industries by number of employees. We've got construction, retail trade, professional and technical services. And then there's two trends of concern that were highlighted in the annual report. You'll see one is the cost of housing, and the other is, just as I mentioned a moment ago, just that imbalance on that property tax revenue stream and that lack of commercial development. If you look at page 8, you'll see really a review of what we did in 2021. A lot of meetings, a lot of coffees, getting out there, visiting with people, getting the lay of the land, talking to businesses, utilities, elected officials, governmental agencies, developers, commercial realtors, and more. And we're also in the department involved on the local, regional, state level with respect to organizations, sitting on committees and boards, involved in the Elizabeth Chamber, the Economic Development Council of Colorado, the ECOG, the East Central Council of Governments, Pro 15. In 2021, you gentlemen are very familiar with the COVID business relief, so we were involved in those two programs in 2021. One was the Small Business Relief Program, to be specific on the name. $50,000 was distributed in that one, and then through the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, another $105,000. So 35 total businesses and organizations in the county were positively impacted through those distributions, and thank you, gentlemen, for setting those funds aside for that effort. We also, this past year, as you know, worked on the economic development website. It's elbertcountyworks.com. It is live. You all can go out and visit that now. And then we also were in the process of resurrecting the Economic Development Council for the county. That was started right in that early 2000 period and then went away after a few years. So we got a meeting toward the end of last year to getting those people right back at the table, and we'll continue this year with that, the evolution and getting that one stood up. Looking ahead for this year, we're in it, 2022. Look at page 11 on that plan, and you'll see that the a housing needs assessment is something. Just mentioned the cost of housing. That's something that's we're looking at, and that is tied to the comprehensive plan. Again, that's the master plan for the county. Also connected to the comprehensive plan is an economic development strategic plan. So another plan that we're focusing on this year. We will continue with the website development, improving it, and of course with marketing efforts through that vehicle, the Economic Development Council, as I just mentioned, and then the Sam, county manager, mentioned open space plan. So that is also connected to the comprehensive plan. How do we measure success? On page 12, we go into that a bit on the document. You'll see there's really 3 general categories. It's jobs, it's incomes, it's the tax base, number of businesses in the county. What is that looking like? Is it going up and down? The number of expansions, the number of jobs, this is huge. Workforce, the available workforce. What is the median household income looking like? The success oftentimes comes, more money in the pockets of our citizens, earning more. being able to enjoy Elbert County and the life that they've chosen to live here in the county. Commute times, are they going up or are they going down? Hopefully they're going down. Taxable sales, that's another thing. Property tax revenue, touched on that a moment ago, and then that property value ratio, decreasing ratio of that residential to commercial. I'm starting to belabor that point, but it is so vital and crucial to take that into account. Page 16 and towards the end, through the end of the document, you'll see those are the charts and graphs. I'll just highlight a few here briefly. Page 16, you'll see private businesses, 2019, 2021, that annual percent change was in line and actually slightly above the Denver metro area when you compare Elbert County to that. On page 17, we look at the labor force. There was a question that we had prior as far as that first look at this annual report, and that had to do, okay, how can we break this out by age group? And you should have that in front of you as well, so that, as you might expect, that 35 to 54-year-old age range of the workforce here in the county, they make up the majority of it. Page 18, another thing on the median household income. It's, there's this west-east dynamic in the county. We all know that. Economic, socioeconomic type situations. Could we see that broken out a little bit more? So that was also done to break it out by region as far as that median household income. So we have one for the entire county. What does it look like in the northwest, the southwest, the central, the eastern section of the county? And you'll see the northwest. There are 3 census tracts, and they have the highest median household income. Not a surprise, and this is above the county median household income of $111,000. Then the southwest tracts, there's 2 of them there, and that's a little, it's right at or a little below the MHI, the median household income. And then if you go to the central part of the county and then to the east, there are 2 tracts, census tracts, and those are below in the central and much lower in the east. It's in the east, it's a 69,000 MHI compared to, again, that 111K. And then the highest, which is right around 139,000, one of those census tracts in the northwest part of the county, that's almost 50% less than the eastern portion of the county when it comes to MHI is about 50% less than the highest census tract in the northwest part of the county. So the good news, though, for the East, if you look at the trend lines for median household income, it is trending upward over the last several years. So that is positive. So we're going to put this annual report on the Economic Development website. Again, that's elbertcountyworks.com. Any questions or comments, Mr. Commissioners?
I've got a couple of just general comments. We've had your department going for just about a year now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in fact, before Mark joined us, several of us were talking about strategic thinking about the future of the county. And when we started going through the statistics, the population here is relatively old compared to other places. It's relatively highly educated relative to other places. And the assessed value tabulation was what really got me focused, when only 10% of the assessed values were for businesses. Now, if you have a residence that's worth $500,000 and a business is worth $500,000, the county gets 4 times the revenue off the business as they do off the residences. The other thing, and I've talked to several people about this, is when you go to an event here in Elbert County, what is the common denominator? Old age. Because the young people have left the county because there's no economic opportunities here for them. So that was one of the reasons why we put together the economic development focus, because my son lives 1,000 miles away because that's where his economic opportunity was. And so as this thing evolves, and it's only been going for a year, so and my anticipation was it would take about 2 years before you got the economic impact from it, because you got You got to plant the seeds before they grow. So, good work.
Thank you, Commissioner Thayer, and I'll just comment, you mentioned again, in emphasizing the assessed valuation and that distinction, that difference, that imbalance. I'd like to highlight for the public here and for you all, which you're aware, when you look at Elbert County compared to other counties across the state, we have, in fact, the highest imbalance in the state. So lots of room for, for opportunity there.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of jump in. One, I really appreciate you pulling all this together, and the numbers really are illustrative. So we've got slightly less than 16,000 workers in the county by your chart. 3,000 jobs, I think the next pay within the county. About 1,500 of those just less than 1,100 of those are filled by people that actually live in the county. So one of it just kind of points to, there's kind of a lack of self-sufficiency. We got a highly educated workforce that leaves the county and comes back to sleep here each night. While they're out of the county, they're spending money outside the county and circulating outside of the county. We know from you had a chart in here that showed unemployment rates going back to 2011. When the residential market crashed, it took 10 years for us, because we're so heavily residential, it took 10 years for the county to recover back to the same level of revenue it had from the beginning of the crash. And now we're trying to pick up a lot of pieces and catch up on things that were deferred over that decade. And we're moving forward, but there are so many pieces of this that impact our quality of life in the county. It's great that, the commute times have reduced because it was mentioned earlier, Castle Rock Parker, they're growing, they're employing people now. So people that used to drive up to the tech center or into Denver are now employed closer. But closer employment means also, that's what's driving some of the growth in the county, because now people can live out here where it's great and have a short commute to a closer job. But working to bring all those pieces together, I think, is very important. I know I think your 11 business sectors didn't include government, but looking at those numbers, across this county, we've got more people employed in government. We're certainly number 2, if not more, than construction. Just between the Elizabeth School District and us, that's about 500 employees. Add in the other school districts, the towns, the fire districts. For a county that doesn't like government very much, we sure have a whole lot of it compared to the other jobs. So I think just knowing where we're at and being able to work thoughtfully towards a little more self-sufficiency. Again, we leave the county to buy too many things, and our businesses are small. If we've got 3,000 businesses and 750 establishments, it's about 4 people. At the risk of public math, on average, our businesses have about 4 people. So that's good, tight-knit small business, and that's what built America. But we're going to have to look at some larger primary employers, and I think if we bring in the right folks, that doesn't we allow ourselves to employ folks in the same general manner that there are the same type of jobs they have up in the cities. It's fewer people on our roads, fewer people leaving, more people here spending money on those local businesses. So I just appreciate all you're doing, and if you can fix it all in a year, that would be great.
Yeah, let's get on that.
No, but I know it's a long-term thing, but I think the metrics you've identified are really important to track. And then probably in the iteration of a economic development master plan is really setting goals. Should we have, we can probably, we certainly want to change the mix of residential versus non-residential, because that's what drives job, that provides jobs here. Unemployment rates are great. We're less than 2% going into COVID. healthy as families, but as a county, the direction you're going is right. And I'm probably babbling at this point, so, but I thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Commissioner Richardson, for your comments, gentlemen, commissioners, and appreciate your support in this effort. Yeah, it is, it's a long-term vision, focused effort. This annual report, we believe, is a good baseline with those metrics, et cetera, and we thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, that was our last discussion item. The only action item we have today was approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the January 26, 2022 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our previous meeting and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Next thing we have just for board planning, I know we've got representatives from Congressman Buck's office and Senator Hickenlooper that wanted to provide updates on just what's happening legislatively and from their point of view. And then Centennial Mental Health wanted to provide an update. I believe they're both scheduled to come in already. And then unless we hear something differently from one of the other three counties, the IGA for 23rd, I think we can go ahead and set up for approval. Do you have anything else? No. You guys want to hear? Okay, that gets us started. There's no land use scheduled for this afternoon unless, thank you. So with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn for the day.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. It is 10:17.